Doctor, talk about your experience. You have a unique one with cancer, and I think you went through an awful lot to kind of find some answers and to get to where you are today.
Yeah, in 2010, I was having severe migraine headaches to the point I was passing out. I would go 3 days with no function at all, couldn't take care of patients any longer, couldn't play with my children, couldn't go anywhere. And then after 3 days, I'd be back to normal again. But as soon as I exerted myself, I'd go down again. And finally, through different testing I was doing, and finally it was time for an MRI. Got an MRI. They found 4 tumors in the brain. And they thought at the time, I was young, it was probably benign. I immediately was rushed to Northwestern Hospital in downtown Chicago. They took a drill, literally, immediately put it's like a drill with a saw on it, and they saw down into your head, and they put a hole into your head. They literally drilled into it to put a tube down there. And I'll tell you, for the first time in years, I was so happy to be at an MD. So most of the time I didn't understand crisis care, even didn't understand the purpose, but thank God my headaches were gone for the first time in probably 8 months. And I felt great.
Just for draining fluid?
It was draining. There was so much spinal fluid up from all the tumors were holding back the spinal fluid. The neurosurgeon the next day came in and said, this will be easy. We're going to get those 4 tumors out of there. $400,000 later, you'll be fine. So I went into the process of getting ready, went into surgery. During surgery, he cut on the first one, started bleeding all over. He realized that it wasn't benign, it was all cancer. And he cut on it, and when you cut on something, it creates an inflammatory reaction and swells. So now I have severe swelling, more swelling on my brainstem. And he came in the room, told my wife and the other doctors, my friends who were there, he probably won't even wake up by the morning. But I woke up, they said, we don't know where the cancer's coming from. It's a secondary. So they went and did tons of testing. I'm gonna spend a week of testing. I was like a guinea pig. And then finally they did a bone marrow. The last test they ran was a bone marrow tap. They tapped out my bone marrow, took some of my bone marrow out, found 30–40% of my blood was making cancer 24 hours a day, and it spread to my brain. So I was diagnosed at that time with a, myeloma is a multiple myeloma, and there's only 3 stages, but a lot of them kept saying stage 4, stage 3. There's only 3 stages of myeloma, but because it was spread into the brain, it was all over the body, it's usually called late stage. They said there's no cure, there's no hope, there's nothing you can do. We can try a bone marrow transplant. We can do a high dose of chemotherapy and radiation, but it's only gonna buy you time. I was 118 pounds in a wheelchair, could barely even take care of myself any longer, let alone get all of these treatments. I knew I was sick. You don't get cancer because you're healthy. I've been sick for years, then I got cancer. And so where I was, I knew you couldn't make me sicker to get me healthier. So I knew that I needed to figure out exactly what caused my body to go from these normal cells to these cancer cells. Something caused it. And I didn't need a cure, I want to know what caused it.